Good morning, everybody. Orange A here with another Sword of Convallaria video, and today we are going to do a quick build guide for Gloria in Sword of Convallaria. I'm going to walk you through her skill tree, show you which skills I think are must-haves, give you my opinions on the rest of the skills, talk about gear, and show you like a fully equipped, built-out Gloria. So like Gloria is the #1 reroll target in the game, in my opinion, right now. A bunch of people are going to have fresh new Glorias day one. So don't mess up building them. Don't pick the wrong skills. I'm going to walk you through that right here. Okay, now the first thing I want to show, I want to just lead these videos off with what I consider the non-negotiables. When you're going through the skill tree, which skills just like should you get kind of no matter what? In my opinion, her basic attack replacement skill, Lance of Justice, I think this is a must get for her. It gives her that big AoE attack, and it works off of her flag waving Sword of Justice mechanic really well. This will up her damage a lot, even if you don't have like the energy to be spamming skills. This just makes her basic attack that much better. I think you get that one no matter what. Then Gloria is a character in this game that I would suggest maybe spending your first Castalia on. If you only have one, she might be the character to invest it in, because Lance of Longinus is such a good skill, but Lance of Longinus Brilliance is also really important. So those two skills are both on the same node. I believe it is, yeah, it's the rank 3, so you'll get access to that pretty early at like level 15. This would be the first chance to use a Castalia in the game for a lot of people. I think you pick up both of those. We'll go over them here in a second. Then Vow of Justice. Now, I put this on the non-negotiable one. It is her buff. It's her leader's aura buff, and it's for all the Union allies in battle. Attack is increased by 10%. So she gets 10% for all Union allies in battle and 20% defense. When performing an active attack, damage is increased by 12%, like a flat 12% damage increase. And when being struck back, damage taken is decreased by 24. Like, there's so much to this buff that I just think it's worth taking, even if you're not running her with other Union people straight away. Now, we'll talk about counterattack mode in a minute, because I don't think that sucks, but let's walk through her whole skill tree starting at the bottom. First of all, rank 1. This is one of those skills I think you could go either way on, like whatever your playstyle is. You have Knightly Spirit, which gives you 20% attack when attacking enemies from the front. So kind of playing into her role as like a piercing person, got heavy armor, run up there, pierce people through from the front. You get a 20% attack buff. I like that a lot. And 40% defense when being attacked from the front. So it's pretty situational, but you're going to find that situation a lot. Also, every skill you pick on her left side is going to give you 3% HP. Every skill you pick on her right side is going to give you 3% defense. Both are fine, right? Then Solemnity is an aura. Decrease attack of all enemies within the character's 2-tile radius by 10%. It's a solid debuff, and I could see a lot of people wanting this, especially if you're running her with like other low rank characters. Decrease the attack of your enemies, help your lower rarity characters stay alive or something like that. But for me personally, I do want more damage. Gloria's a main carry for me over everything else, so I would take Knightly Spirit, but this is one I think you could pick either one and be fine. Now, rank 3 is the biggie, right? Lance of Longinus is like a staple move for our girl here. And I want to go look at something real quick. Before we even go any further on that, let's look at her trace, Flag of Justice. So Flag of Justice, she's got that flag, it's waving in the air. Increase attack by 5%. When the character loses flag waving, so when she stops waving her flag, gains Potential Burst for 2 turns. Potential Burst will give her attack by 20% and defense 40%, and she's immune to being attribute debuffed. So when she loses flag waving, she gains that buff. At the start of battle, Gloria will auto get flag waving, right? So she's going to start with it, which grants the flag waving aura. Now, flag waving aura increases the attack and defense of all allies within 3 tiles by 12%, and it cannot be dispelled or immunized. The flag waving that, again, she starts combat with grants move 1 to all allies, and this is one of the reasons she is such a top tier character. Getting move up to all your allies is crazy. Within 3 tiles for 2 rounds, granting the character flag waving. So you want to be like turning this thing on and turning it off. Like anytime you can play with this to get these buffs going, I think that's a good thing. And so when you look at her rank 3 skills, Lance of Longinus, let's read it again. Deals 80% AoE damage to all enemies within 2 tiles, so a nice big diamond-shaped AoE. summons a flag at the cost of flag waving. So she literally summons a flag. Like when this hits the ground, it puts a flag on the ground, and she can be holding a flag and there's a flag in the ground at the same time. I've seen it. It can happen. The flag that she summons will give 15% increase attack and defense by 15% for all allies in battle, disappearing after a certain number of turns. Okay, so she just gives a 15% attack and defense buff to her enemies. It consumes the flag waving aura to do that though. So flag waving aura is consumed. If there is no flag waving aura on the character, the skill switches to Longus flag waving. So she will either lose or gain flag waving from this. It's a way to like play with that I think is pretty cool. Then the other side of that is the skill Longus Brilliance. This is a buff. It's a big diamond shaped AoE support skill. Gloria grants all allies within 3 tiles of her attack 1 and damage reduction 2. Attack 1 gives physical attack and magic attack a 10% buff. Nice. And damage reduction 2 reduces damage by 20%. So for 2 turns and restores 1 energy. That's a OP skill. If there's no flag waving aura on Gloria, the skill switches to Sword Full Moon. Sword Full Moon is a single target attack. I'm sorry, it's an AoE attack. Deals 90% AoE physical damage to all enemies within 2 tiles around the character. So it's a spinning AoE attack. They literally show that off in her trailer. Damage dealt increased by 30% when the targets are injured, when they're low HP, and she gains damage reduction 2 for 2 turns, which is that 20% damage reduction. I think both these skills are insane. That's why I just think, like, don't choose between them. Pick one for now, and then when you get yourself a Castalia later, come pick another. Okay, rank 5. We get a little bit easier mode here with rank 5. You're choosing between counterattack or front defense. Front defense is when you're hit by an active attack from the front, you reduce that damage by 30%. Once again, playing into that, like, I'm going to look you straight in the eye and do damage to you thing that she does. And then counterattack is a reaction. When hit by an active attack from the front or side, strike back. Strike back just literally means you counterattack. It says so right here. So if the attacker is within range, dealing 70% basic attack damage, it can be activated up to 1 time per round. Right here, I really don't think there's a bad pick. If you didn't lean into the defense earlier, or you're needing a little more defense, pick front defense. Otherwise, pick the counterattack one to again help her deal more damage. For the sake of this build, I will pick counterattack as her reaction ability. Now, rank 7. I already showed you Vow of Justice and talked about how great of a buff I think that is. However, the other side of this is something worth considering. Counterattack mode adds 20% of her physical attack to physical defense and magic defense, and increases strike back damage by 50%. She gains preempt and increases strike back range by 2 tiles, lasting for 2 turns. Preempt is like preemptive counterattack. If you have this is good. Like, this is real good. So I was really back and forth on even considering Vow of Justice like a must-take skill. I still just think it like gives her too many raw stats. It's too good not to take, but this could be another Castalia option for you. And this character is one of the few that I'm just going to have lots of Castalia, or 2. I have 2 Castalia recommendations on, and she's probably a character that you're like building as one of your main carries, so don't feel bad about spending that resource on her. Okay, rank 9. This is where you take Lance of Justice. This is her auto attack replacer. Gloria deals 70% physical damage to all enemies within 1 tile of the target. If there is no flag waving, which is that buff, the skill switches to Sword of Justice, which is a single target sword attack, deals 100% physical damage when attacked from the front, increased damage to 130. So once again, playing off that attacking from the front feature, where if you use this attack and you have your flag out, you do the AoE. If you use this attack and you don't have your flag out, you do a big damage single target attack. The skill will be switched to Spear of Justice when having the flag aura waving. Okay, the other one here is actually pretty good, but you want her to do more damage to this, I think, and have access to the AoE. Silencing attack, if you choose to go that route, which is not what I recommend, deals 100% physical damage and inflicts active skill debuff, so unable to cast any active skills. That's pretty good, but it's only on injured targets. If this was on every target, it would be one of the best attacks in the game, like boss silence attack, right? But it's only on injured targets, so go with Lance of Justice. Then rank 11, the last choice you make. You are choosing between Fair Duel and Knight's Glory. Once again here, I think you just pick the one you like the best. Fair Duel, and I know I'm kind of covering it up, sorry. This single target attack, 180% damage, so big modifier. Before attacking, dispel all debuffs on your character and all buffs on the target. I love this move. This is definitely worthy of being that like top tier move for her. Then Knight's Glory is a support, instant cast. Now, instant casts are something I'm going to show off here in a minute. I love instant cast abilities. You can use an instant and then do the whole rest of your turn. Like you can move, instant, move again and attack. It's crazy. It's just an extra thing you get to do. This grants the target, it's a single target buff, grants the target attack 2, which is a 20% attack buff for 2 turns. When the targets are from the Union, the character gains an additional physical shield equal to 20% of her HP, 20% of their HP. Crazy. Both of these are so good. Now for me, I think I like Fair Duel better as that like I don't want my main DPS getting dispelled, right? And but I don't think you can go wrong here. I think both of those are crazy good. I just don't I want to protect her from being debuffed, and the ability to debuff another target seems really good. Once again, this is a character that you could throw lots of Castalia at and not feel bad. Basically, none of her stuff like is not worth having. Okay, now let's talk about gear for her next and set up her build. First, let's set up her skills. So if you didn't know, you come in here, you want to replace your physical attack with that. You come in here, you put your counterattack that you picked on, then you pick your favorite 3 skills, whatever you want to bring to a fight for these last 3 slots, right? If you're not running her, say you pick Valve Justice, but you're not running her with people from the Union, so you want to replace that with Longinus Brilliance, you can do that, right? That's no problem. So that's where you can tweak depending on what your current lineup is or what you're fighting. Okay, gear. Let's talk gear. Now, this is a test account, so I have access to all of the gear. Let me go ahead and get my face. Well, that didn't work. Let me get my face out of the way. We're going to go ahead and make this full screen. Yeah, you'd think I'd have my button set up before I started doing this, but let's switch to full screen. And here you go. Let me give you some weapon recommendations and gear recommendations for our girl Gloria. Let's start with weapons. Now, when it comes to like the non-legendary weapons, I actually don't think any of the spears are that good. Whichever one of these you have and are leveling is fine. Guardian Spear gives you HP, makes you a little bit more of a bruiser. I like this one. If you're attacking enemies with a shield, you'll do more damage to them. That's cool. And then this one is if you're attacking enemies with 3 or more debuffs, you get 3% attack buff. All of these are just whatever, honestly. But let's look at the legendary gear. There's a couple here that I like and then a whole lot that I don't like. Let me walk you through the ones that I do like. This one, the Skeleton Spear, increases physical attack by 2% before initiating a single target active attack. Additionally, deal piercing damage equal 10% of physical attack to the target. So this is a good one if you have those like single target attacks. It just gives you more damage, and I do like having more damage. This is my favorite one though. She's somebody who can hit a lot of AoEs, and the dual-headed halberd increases your physical attack by 5%, and then for each target hit when attacking, you increase your damage by 3 up to 9%. So if you're hitting like multiple targets, like 3 or more, you're doing 9% more damage. And I just think that is crazy good. So those are my 2 recommendations for her. I'd see some people float the pendant halberd. I think this is fine as well, but my favorite 2 are the Skeleton Spear, and then my absolute favorite is a dual-headed halberd, if you can get your hands on those. Okay, for her armor slot, let's look at these. Now, you're going to see this one recommended for a lot of people all the time. The Breeze Herb Compound Condensed Pill gives you an instant cast, which is, again, something you could just do whenever you want, that gives you a heal. It heals you for 20% and dispels a debuff. You can use it 2 times per battle, but does have an 8-turn cooldown. I don't necessarily love this on Gloria because she has access to a debuff remover herself with the skills we just looked at. So I don't know. I really do like Flying Blade Arm Guard. Now, I even recorded a little demo of her using this that I'll play on the screen, but this gives you an instant cast piercing damage equal to 12% of the enemy's HP. You can use it 2 times per battle, and the cooldown is only 3. I think on my damage dealers, I just kind of like having this. It's another way of doing a little bit more burst damage, and I think that's pretty cool. Another recommendation here is the Space Time Ring. This gives you a teleport. However, the teleport is behind an ally. Now, you increase attack by 2% for 1 turn, so it does give you an attack steroid, and it can be used 1 time per battle. I don't know, like honestly, I really like the Flying Blade Arm Guard or the Breeze Herb Compound, especially if you don't have another way of like removing debuffs from yourself. Okay, Old Scrolls of August is fine if you want to give a speed buff to another ally. I think that's fine to go for. And then as far as like low ranking gear, I mean, you can't go wrong with the Coexist armor on someone who can wear it. Just taking less damage is great. The Evergreen Pendant, when healed, there's a chance to gain a buff. That's fine, especially if you're catching some heals. Like, this is a fine option as well. Like, whatever low level piece of gear you're using, I would probably go between these two and then those legendary pieces I suggested. Then for your Terra Whisper, I like on her, and I've leveled these in a weird way, so let me see here. Okay, Temptation of the Devil. This is like a snowballing trinket, right? For each one character defeated in battle, gain 1 stack of the Devil. The Devil gives you an attack and defense 3% buff up to 30%. So if you keep killing stuff, you snowball this thing and get a big attack steroid for yourself. I like this one a lot on her. I like this a lot on like most of the DPS characters in the game. Alternatively, and then there's always, if you're just brand new, there's lower rarities of this as well, right? Like if you just have the lower rarity one, that's fine, but I'm just going to show the legendary ones for the sake of this video. Alternatively, let's look at the Magician right here. Increased damage dealt by 8%. Holy moly, that's always good. When casting skills, for each additional hit on one enemy, the damage dealt increases by 4%. So you can see this is better on multi-hit attacks, but just an 8% damage increase. Like, don't ever sleep on an 8% damage increase. Let's see, I don't like that. Oh man, I forgot the other one I was going to suggest. Oh no, hold on. Look, there it is. Verdict of Justice. Get my face back off the screen. This one gives you 50% crit rate. 50% crit rate is just really dang good. So run Verdict of Justice. This might be my favorite one. I haven't had time to like test all of this out. I'm just going by theory here, or test it out like with a lot of math. You know what I mean? But like, I think these two are my favorite options for her. Verdict of Justice or Temptation of the Devil. And guys, that is a real quick guide for Gloria. So I say real quick, it was like a 17-minute video. I will try to maybe like shorten these down a little bit for characters in the future, but this is my first one. Please give me some feedback on the format of this, if you liked it, if you didn't like it. And yeah, good luck building your Gloria. Let me know what skills you're using, and maybe I'll maybe I'll adjust my opinions. But I have gotten to play with Gloria a little bit, and maybe you haven't yet. So there you go. Have a good day, everybody. I'll catch you next time. Peace.